Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about how I save money on steak. I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto and carnivore recipes and other cooking ideas that have helped me to lose about 140 pounds. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you check out some of those other videos. And for returning viewers, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Okay, this is one way I save money on meat. Today I am going to cut this up into individual steaks. So what you're looking at here is 12.5 pounds of ribeye. Buying it this way from my local wholesale club, which you don't need a membership for, so look for one of those in your town, it worked out to $8.16 a pound. And I have 12.5 pounds here. So that's a really good price because ribeye steak is normally at least double that and more, depending. So I am going to cut this up and use my food saver to freeze it. And I'm going to talk about other ways that I save money on meat, throughout this video. Okay, so I'm just going to take this over to the sink and release it from its packaging, and then I'll come back here and we'll cut it up. Okay, to cut up your own steaks, you don't need much. You just need to be able to buy one of these large cuts. I believe they're called primal cuts. Costco has them as well. So Costco, you can get, sometimes you can get ribeye. I've never seen it at any of my local Costco's. I've done New York strip. I've done videos on that, so I'll show that below. And tenderloin, they have those there all the time. So I feel really lucky that I was able to get ribeye. All you need is a cutting board. Now I did cut that big slab of meat in half just so it was easier to deal with. The other half is waiting in the sink. You just need a cutting board, you need your meat, and a very sharp knife. Make sure you sharpen your knife before you start. The advantage, as well as the price advantage, is that you get to control how thin or thick your steak is. I like to have a pretty thick steak. These days I'm doing it mostly in my air fryer, and I like to make it medium rare to rare. So a good thick steak is the way to go for me. So I might cut less steaks from this than you normally would. So I'm just gonna dive in and start. I kind of like that. Now it helps to have a big knife for this. You don't want to do that with a little knife, but there we go. There's our first steak. I would have liked this to have more fat on it, a nice big fat cap, but for this price, I guess I can't really argue. This side is pretty uneven, so I'm going to make a funny looking steak here.
But a steak is a steak.
So I appear to have some extra stuff here on this. There is some silver skin and whatnot in there. I mean, you could cut this off and make stew out of this, but I think I'm just gonna forge ahead. By the way, if you know any butchers in your family, ask their advice and don't show this video to any butchers that you know. I don't want to be made fun of. I mean, I'm just doing the best I can here, saving money on meat. Oh, that's a nice thick one. I'm gonna have that for breakfast. Put that one aside. We're filming super early this morning. It's like just after 7 because it is a heat wave day again today. And it's just too hot. So we're getting it done now. So what I'm going to do now that I have these steaks is I'm going to show you how to do them in the food saver, and I'll talk about other ways that you can freeze them as well for those of you that don't have a food saver, which is a vacuum sealer thing. So be right back with my food saver. Okay, so there's some different things you can do to freeze your meat. You can use Ziploc bags. Just make sure you squeeze all the air out of them. If you watch the other 2 previous videos I did, I used butcher paper, which you can order or buy from a butcher shop. And that's a good way to keep the air out. That's how they package things up. But I find that a little bit cumbersome. And before I moved here, I bought this. It was on sale. It's called a food saver. And you are just basically making a nice sealed package with no air in it. And so the meat will last longer in the freezer that way. I didn't even open it because I knew that I was going to be moving. And so I used it for the first time about a week ago, and I'm so glad I got it because I do plan to do a lot of this type of thing. I have a big stand-up freezer and I can, get lots of stuff in there. So it came with some various items. This is just a roll of bags. So what you can do with this, I know there's a cutter here, but I found it easier just to cut the size I want to seal both ends. To me, that just seemed easier than fiddling with the cutter. So that's an option, and you actually save money if you buy the bags in a roll. And it also came with some pre-sized, pre-cut bags, and I've got very large, so you could put a roast in this one or several steaks. I probably can, well, this looks like a one steak bag. So I'm going to show you basically how this works. It has a few different buttons on it. I haven't really figured out the dry and the moist yet, or why you would use the pulse. You can make a sous vide seal. So I haven't figured out those things yet. I've only used it once so far. But I'm really happy with just the whole idea of the way it sucks out the air. So I am going to just grab one of these steaks. That's my breakfast steak. Let's just grab a steak and put it in the bag so that you can see. Okay, so once you have it in the bag, there is a dial down here, and you need to put it into operating mode. So there's open. Let me just move it up there. So to open, that's where that switch should be. There's for storing, you put it in the middle. That's if you're going to put it away somewhere in a cupboard. And then operating is down here at the very bottom. So the first thing I want to do, of course, is open it so that I can put my bag end here. So you just want it in there. Make sure that you leave enough space to get your bag right in there. Close it, and then put it down to the operating mode. So easy, and it's super light, so it's really easy, if you've got it stored in a cupboard somewhere, really easy to get in and out. So then you press vacuum. You probably saw that all the air was being sucked out. Not quite. Okay, I'm going to put it back on vacuum. It is supposed to stop by itself. There it goes. Okay. If the bag is wrinkled, I've found that sometimes it doesn't stop by itself, and so yeah. So then you press seal, and that's going to give that final seal. To me, it looks like the air is out to my liking, so. Okay, once it stops flashing, then it's ready to go. So you can then put it back to open and open your package. So take your package out. So that one is ready to go into the freezer. I'm going to try the moist. So I'm kind of wondering, because there is still just a little bit of space here. Let's try one more, because it really should have stopped on its own, and I see there is a little bit of air in there. Move it to operate. Okay. Now I'm going to press seal. Okay. And here we go. So this one is a much tighter seal. I should have let that one go until it was finished. It just seemed to be taking a long time. So that is what I'm going to do with all of the meat that I have here, including in the sink. I'm going to seal it all up like that, put them in my freezer. I might use this big bag. Oh, well, why don't we do that? I'll show you how they recommend sealing 2 at a time. And so I'm going to take this one and this one, and I'm going to leave some space in between the 2. I mean, you could squish them together and get 3 in here. And there is room to even have space between the 3. So I am going to just show 2 though. Okay, so that is done. Oh, I don't need...
I think it's actually sealing right now. I didn't have to turn it off and press seal. Like I said, I'm still learning.
There, both the lights are off. And yes, indeed it is. Okay, so there's our 2 delicious steaks. You know, with the space in between. I possibly could have fit a 3rd one in there, I don't know. But it's good to have the space. So I am going to do all that and have many steaks. I'll show you the pile at the end later. But I also wanted to say, because this video is called Ways That I Saved Money on Steaks. So the other couple of things that I have done in the past, well, one I haven't done yet, but I've been wanting to, and my mom did it in the past. That would be buying, you know, half a cow or a quarter of a cow, or, you know, whatever you have room for in the freezer. But, you know, many people who live in the city don't have that kind of room for a freezer or for like a half a cow. So that can be impractical, but you do save a lot of money. You get you pay a price per pound, and it's much lower than probably even what I paid here. And there's local farmers and ranchers that want your business for that. So that is one other way to save money on steaks. And the way that I used to do it a lot, saving money on steaks, is get to know your local grocery stores, and especially the ones that have the meat departments and smaller local ones. So we had a small local one that the first hour, this is in where I lived in Langley, the first hour or 2 of the day, the I don't know, the meat department manager or whoever was in charge would come in, mark everything that was left from the day before at 30% off. That was like, you know, ribeyes, roasts, you know, chicken, you name it. And so that's the best time that I would go in and shop and get some of those deals. I haven't figured that out here yet because I've only been here a couple of weeks. So when I do, I will certainly do that as well, because, you know, not everybody wants to have 20 ribeyes in their freezer. I don't know why not. I certainly do, but not everybody does, and they like to have a different variety of meats. So, you know, if I'm looking for that one thing, maybe a flank steak or something like that, then that would be the way to do it. So, okay, so I'm gonna go finish those steaks and be right back. Okay, I'm all done. Total cost of this was $102, you know, plus bags, of course. And I haven't worked out the cost per bag yet. But so what I have here, for the price of a dinner at the Keg, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a huge one. This really should count as 2. I've got 5 singles. I've got 6, and then these are all doubles. I did experiment with doing a double, like these are 2 steaks squished together, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've got 15 steaks for just over $100. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is for Pippi and Teddy. That's my breakfast. And that's a wrap. So I'm gonna link those other videos below where I did the other cuts of meat. One of them was a little trickier. This was just slicing it up. I'm sure that there are people out there that can tell me some better ways to do this. And like I said, I'm still learning how to use the food saver. So if you have any tips or tricks, please comment down below so that I can learn to use it better. But I am happy with it. The way I was doing steaks before, this is 100 times better, even if I'm not doing it perfectly. So anyways, that's it for today. And I am excited to go eat my steak. Well, I'm going to cook it first. I'm going to do about 10 minutes in the air fryer. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.